Our presentation today is Supply Chain Management by Scott Patterson and Hunter Bravis. Going to give you the lowdown on what supply chain is and what process you need to go through to get the degree at Penn State.
What is supply chain management? Supply chain management is getting goods shipped from point A to point B. SMEAL defines this as every aspect of the networks that businesses use to acquire, produce, and deliver goods and services all over the world. These goods are shipped using planes, trains, and automobiles, basically anything to get your supplies from point A to point B.
So it's not just getting things from point A to B. There are a few different fields within supply chain management that you could go different routes with a degree from Penn State, and they are demand management, which is forecasting demand and realizing what you're going to need at what point in time so you can get it there in time. Global supply chains, which is becoming even more important in today's global economy. It's much more difficult to ship goods around the world, and companies can be made or broken by the strength of their global supply chains. There's also supply chain design, which is just taking into account how many plants there are, where are the distribution centers, and who are the customers, so you know what you're going to need to get things where and how much time will take to get things from point A to point B. There's also the manufacturing end, on the manufacturing floor, seeing how many things you need to put into the machine to get how many out. And then finally, strategic procurement, which is basically just getting everything you need to make what you need to get.
Types of fields and jobs in supply chain. You can be anything from a purchaser of goods or anything from a vice president of logistics. There's just many different varieties and field types that you can choose from, all with pretty high-paying salaries and decent incomes.
So here are some of those decent incomes. The lowest average salary, as careersinsupplychain.org says, is $50,000 just for a freight rate specialist, all the way up to the highest average salary, which is a top supply chain executive, which could be anywhere from, like we mentioned, a VP of logistics to a chief operating officer. There's a lot of movement within the field and some great salaries.
Companies with notable supply chains. Every company that sells a good or anything needs to have people that get the goods to different places. So there's from the small companies up to Apple, Nokia. Walmart's a big one. They have a huge supply chain. Supply chains cut costs, so no matter what company has, everyone needs one to help cut costs, even in recessions.
So that brings us to the great value of a Penn State degree. With all these jobs available, with the demand for supply chain professionals, and the great salaries that these jobs can give, it's a great time to get a degree from Penn State because they happen to be the top program in the country. Many lists have Penn State as number one, but any list you look at is going to have Penn State in the top 5 for supply chain. It's kind of hard to believe, but actually Penn State has had 100% job placement in the past 4 years with supply chain, so you're going to get a job. It's a great time to get into supply chain because it is a growing field, and like Hunter said, every company needs them, especially now with the recession, because they're trying to cut costs and streamline things. Even in 4 years when we'll be graduating, companies will still be needing them because the economy will most likely be on an upswing, and they're going to need even more of them. So there's a really high demand for supply chain professionals. So now how do we go about getting that valuable degree? You have 5 supply chain classes that are unique to the degree. They are SCM 404, which is your basic transportation class. You learn transportation management, distribution center processes, inventory control, and order management elements, things like that. Another class is SCM 405, which is manufacturing strategies. This class explains the role of manufacturing or service operations from the boundary spanning perspective of supply chain management and how supply chain management can be used as a strategic competitive advantage. There's also SCM 406W, which is a basic procurement class. This class basically helps you understand the relationship between product design and the supplier base, also the types of relationships that exist between buyers and sellers. There's also SCM 421, which is your supply chain modeling, and is Excel-based. The objectives of the course are to develop valuable modeling skills that students can appreciate and use effectively in their careers. and also to reinforce and enrich your understanding of supply chain theories, principles, and concepts studied previously in foundation courses. Finally, there is SCM 450, which is a class all about designing and managing supply chains. This class will help students to articulate the process perspective and the total systems view of supply chain management, the impact of systems thinking on firm performance, and the nature of relationships to supply chain networks. And finally, you also need a 3.0 GPA at the end of your sophomore year to be able to be guaranteed this major. But of course, you can have a little bit lower and still get in.